Yes, sir. Welcome back to Talking Nets, episode 91. Like Rodman. Hey, we're back on the pod, man. LaMarcus Aldridge is on the squad, man. What up, Hudson? It is Tuesday night, a late pod for us, but I'd rather us do the late pod and then get this pod out early in the morning. So good morning to you, Wednesday morning. Keith McPherson and Hudson Flynn joining you to talk some Nets. Hudson Flynn, say what's up to the people.
Man, I'm like, this is pretty wild. We're 9 episodes away from episode 100, coming to you guys on a hopefully sunny Wednesday morning. What, maybe it's your drive to work, your ride to school, who knows? But man, I love it. We got a lot to talk about today. I don't want to take too much time. We got some wins to talk about, but we don't want to spend too much time on that. The Nets get LaMarcus Aldridge and the NBA freaks out. They're past the narrative that it's not going to work, that the Nets don't have too many ball handlers. They got too many big names. It's not going to work. Oh my God. Now the narrative has shifted. We got scary hours getting scarier for the rest of the league. The Nets signed LaMarcus Aldridge. People are reacting like this was 5 years ago, but it's 2021. LaMarcus Aldridge said he's not here to be an all-star. He's here to be a champion. And that's what you want to do. If you want to be a champion, you come to Brooklyn, Keith.
But who's going to play defense? The Nets don't play any defense.
That one's back. We're bringing back the oldies but goodies on the narratives.
One ball, man. Kyrie dribbles. He dribbles too much. And Harden's never going to work on that team. He's a diva. KD's always hurt. One ball. Steve Nash can't coach these guys. He can't. In his first year, Steve Nash win a championship with this team of divas.
Even if they do, there's no fans. There's no fans to celebrate it, Keith.
Man, get out of here. There's so many people with these narratives. And on this episode, we're going to do a lot of talk about the narratives. I don't want to waste too much time talking about the games. On Talking Nets, we talk about 2 games per episode because I think it's goofy to sit here and try and talk about 3 games. And as it stands right now, that game in Friday night in Detroit, that was a while ago. The game Monday night in Brooklyn, when you're hearing this, it'll be 2 nights ago, and we'll be getting ready for the Rockets to play in Brooklyn tonight. It won't even be a revenge game now. The first one seemed like a Harden revenge game. Now it's just like, whatever, the Rockets are coming to town. Scrubs. We played the T-Wolves, scrubs. We played the Pistons, scrubs. We got 3 scrub games in a row. So this episode, I don't want to talk too much about the games, the X's and O's, the Jimmys, the Joes, the plus minus, the rebounds, assists, and points. We're just going to talk to you about what everybody's talking about because everybody's talking Nets. So let's get into it, starting with the news. LaMarcus Aldridge signs with the Brooklyn Nets. Now, this seems like old news now. LA signs the vet minimum, a 1-year vet minimum with the Brooklyn Nets. And I was almost like, I could have sworn I saw Woj tweet out that he was going to Miami.
Everyone thought he was going to Miami.
So Saturday, I'm enjoying my Saturday. Pop a Sour Patch Kid, go to the mall, go to Stu Leonard's grocery store, watch them perform over there, walk around, enjoy myself. And then I see an alert. I'm like, wait, what? In Marks we trust, in Marks we trust, in Marks we trust. And then Hudson, breaking news, puts a video out. And the first thing I think, I didn't even watch his full video, but the universe told me when we got Harden, Hudson was back home, driving, had to pull over. The same thing just went down. Now, obviously, Aldridge and Harden, way different players, way different impact. But the universe, the Nets world, it's all connected. Hudson, what were you thinking Saturday when you're pushing the whip through the mean streets of upstate New York and you see that alert and you got to pull over and you got to talk to the people?
I was shocked. Like you said, I thought he was going to Miami. Everyone thought he was going to Miami. But look, if you want to win a championship, you come to Brooklyn. The basketball world revolves around Brooklyn. And my first reaction is, why does this news always need to break when I'm in a position to get myself into a car accident? That was funny. I saw the news and I was like, oh shit, I gotta get off the highway, gotta take the first exit, pull over on a side street just so I can react to this news. And I put that video out even really before I had the time to think about it. But now that I've had a couple of days, you guys are going to be listening to this bright and early on a Wednesday morning, maybe a Wednesday afternoon, as a preview to the Rockets game. And, we've had some time to sit on it, to decompress, to think, okay, what does this really mean for the team? And for me, it just means that the Nets have more depth. And who doesn't want more depth? You guys said, oh, the Nets need another big. They want to take minutes away from DJ, want someone who can work in the mid-range, maybe work on the little pick and fade in the midi. And we get a guy who can do just that. We don't get Andre Drummond. Sean Marks probably would have got him if he wanted him, but he didn't. And he gets LaMarcus Aldridge. And boy, let me tell you, it spawned some narratives. And I know we're going to talk about that. But boy, I was fully not anticipating that people were going to say as much as they did about this. I saw this and it hit me the same way Alize Johnson re-upping his 10-day did. The way, oh, we're getting Landry Shamet back. That's cool. It wasn't a blockbuster. This wasn't a Woj bomb. This wasn't a league-shattering move. This was a guy coming to shoot a little basketball, to enjoy himself in Brooklyn, and to try and win a championship, not to make the Nets the most unfair super team. And then all of a sudden, after I put all that stuff out and all the people are reacting to it, ESPN comes out with a graphic. They've got Harden, Kyrie, KD, and DeAndre Jordan for some reason next to Blake Griffin and LaMarcus Aldridge. And oh my God, the Nets. Look, I love our team. I love our players. I love LaMarcus Aldridge, but it's not 2015. It's 2021. And the Nets are out here making moves along the margins, like we've talked about, that they need to do to win a championship. And regardless, the Nets are 18-2 in their last 20 games. The Nets are winning basketball games, and they're playing good basketball. So if this improves on the margins, like you said, Keith, and Marks we trust, but a lot of crazy narratives on the Twitter these past couple of days.
So, yeah, I didn't really think too much about it before I made my video, but the point of my video was one, that this is our world, Nets world. This universe is on our side. Hudson was driving. Already told you that. My second thing was Sean Marks is doing everything in his power to shore up this run. I didn't think about LaMarcus Aldridge being a starter. I didn't think of him being a earth-shattering move, blockbuster move. I didn't even think of him being as good of a move as it was getting Blake for nothing. But what I understood was he's a veteran. He's a winner. He's got playoff experience. He's got pedigree. He's been under Pop. He knows what he's doing. Former University of Texas guy. Maybe KD was recruiting a little bit. What else did I think? I just thought this is Sean Marks giving us another depth piece. If you guys watch the Nets, which I know you do, you know that we could use another big body like that because we watch a lot of DeAndre Jordan, and thank God Nick Claxton has emerged to be the beautiful Goldilocks beast he is, but he's still very young in his NBA career. He's going to learn throughout these next couple months. I think he's going to get some time in the playoffs, but we can't be relying on him solely as a second-year player with 30 games under his belt to be the 5 when we get into these series with the Bucks, the Sixers. You know what I'm saying? I look at Aldridge as a guy that's been there, that's done it. I like his mid-range game. I like that he can shoot, that he can step out and create his own shot. I like that we can throw him in there to mix it up with Embiid, mix it up with Giannis, mix it up with whoever. But I definitely didn't look at this as like, oh, man, this puts the Nets over the top. And I think a lot of people were just reacting to the name. And, I hate to call people casuals, but this was a splash move for casuals. For Nets fans, I think it was just a pleasant surprise. Like, we weren't expecting to get LaMarcus Aldridge. But as a Nets fan for this last 20 years, what I love is that these players have choices. He could have went to South Beach. He could have taken his talents to South Beach. He could have went down there.
Paid no taxes.
Exactly.
He could have gone to the beach.
Bro, he could have went down there. They're fully open. Like, he could have went down there and had a ball. He's washed, but he's not done yet. He's ring chasing, and he wants to play for your Brooklyn Nets. And what I want to do is play some of your voicemails reacting to this so we can move on.
I just heard we signed Marcus Aldridge. I can't stop crying. I'm so happy. We're going to be the NBA champions. The Lakers suck. Nets in 4.
I love the energy more than anything. Kind of contradicts what we were saying, but I don't care. Love the energy. Keep that energy coming on the voicemails.
Be excited, Nets fans. This used to never happen. We were never a destination that landed free agents, buyouts, 1-year vet minimum. Nobody was coming to the Meadowlands. I just put out that graphic and showed you guys, and I forget who it was that was like, oh, no love for Brendan Byrne. Bro, I didn't want to make 3 slides for one place. Everybody knows it's the Meadowlands, but we couldn't attract players to the Meadowlands when it was Brendan Byrne. And then in 96, it turned into Continental Airlines Arena. And then it turned into the Izod Center. We couldn't attract top free agents and NBA stars like this to there. But Luis Scola knew once we win,
the profit,
we'll get everyone. He literally said, once they win, they'll get everyone, because he was here and he was enjoying his life in Brooklyn and access to Manhattan and all the boroughs and all of the food and all of the fun things that you can do down here in Brooklyn. And they got the HSS Center not far. Players want to play here. They want to play with other great players here, and they want to win a chip here. And everyone knows we're out for one thing, and that's a ring.
Talking Nets, what up? This is Dan from Rockaway, New Jersey. Just wanted to say, I think with all these big bodies, they're just going to keep rotating these guys and just have fresh big men to throw at Embiid and Giannis in the playoffs. So that's my opinion. Thanks.
Agreed. That's what I just said. All this is okay. Now he's going to compete with DeAndre. He's going to compete and help Nick Claxton. And he's a veteran big body coming off the bench. And that is Sean Marks just putting all his chips in, just shoring up everything, because there will be injuries. And there's no bubble this year. And anything that can happen can possibly happen. One more message about LaMarcus Aldridge, and we'll keep it moving.
Hey, this is Jamie again. I just wanted to call in after the Aldridge signing. I love it. I think that everything I've been seeing on Twitter has been absolutely an overreaction to it. He's not the same. Blake Griffin, although, he's not washed, he has some juice. He isn't the same. And we all know about DeAndre Jordan. So I do think it's a big overreaction. But I will say this. I think that all of these fans that's overreacting, these Lakers fans, I haven't seen any 76ers fans doing it, but mainly Lakers fans and Miami fans. I take that back. Miami, too, has been doing it today with the signing because they thought they were going to get them. This is my thing. They need to direct their frustration towards their GM. Sean Marks is doing what he's supposed to do. Give the team the depth that they need in case there are major injuries. We have COVID protocols. We know what we've experienced with KD this season with COVID protocols, and there's not going to be a playoff bubble. So he's doing what he's supposed to do. Maybe their GMs need to do the same. That's all I have to say. Bye, y'all.
I like her a lot. And these talking Nets fam, these talking Nets fans.
She could replace me.
They're smart, man. They're smarter than us.
I'm replaceable. This is crazy. Get her on the podcast.
She called in before, and I was pumped when she first called in because I was like, that's our first woman that ever called the show. And I think it was in the beginning of the month, and here we are at the end of the month, and she called back. I'm trying to get her first name.
Hey, this is Jamie again.
Jamie. Hey, Jamie. Appreciate you.
I know Jamie. I do know Jamie. I interact with Jamie on the Twitter all the time.
She from the South? That I hear that accent.
Boy, I don't know. I think if I'm thinking of the right account, she actually has Breonna Taylor, rest in peace, as her profile picture.
I have seen her account. She might be from Louisville. She might be from Kentucky, or she
Who
might
knows,
just
but
be.
She's my favorite. She's my favorite talking Nets fan by far.
Well, you can't have one favorite, Hudson. Now you're gonna make somebody feel like they're not as.
If you guys want to be my favorite, you can call in. You can interact positively with me on Twitter You got to earn it. You got to earn it. And that was a solid voicemail. She wins the voicemails.
She crushed it. And she said, you know, these fans are overreacting like the Lakers. We know the Lakers are shooketh. We're going to talk about that when we get to these narratives. She talked about what I mentioned. There's no bubble this year. So with these COVID tests and who knows, right? DeAndre Jordan had COVID last year. Maybe he might pop up with another COVID case. I know they're getting players vaccinated and all that, but to have depth is important for a team trying to get to where? The last game of the season. We're trying to get to the finish line, and you don't get to the finish line without healthy bodies and veterans and people that have done it before. Experience matters. Nick Claxton doesn't have that experience yet. DeAndre Jordan has some experience, but does he have winning playoff experience? Not like LaMarcus Aldridge. Hudson, take it away. I got to close my window. This dog is loud as fuck.
No, I mean, look, LaMarcus Aldridge is a good signing. That's all he is. He's a good signing. He's got a big name. At one point, he was very, very good at basketball. Now, he's less good, but he still fills the need, and he still provides a service that the Brooklyn Nets need. And at this point, like he said, Sean Marks is going all in. He is putting all his chips to the center of the table. He's filling any hole that he could possibly fill, and he's always working to make sure that this team is as good of a team as it can be. And I think, and I know we're going to talk about this a little bit more later, but like he said, people are reacting to the name. They're reacting to, oh my God, LaMarcus Aldridge. There are plenty of people that we could have picked up, whether at the trade deadline, through the buyout market, that actually would have been a bigger impact than he is, but he's got the name and everyone's reacting to the name. And at this point, people are scared. For whatever reason, they have decided that the Nets are the number one threat. I don't want to say why. I don't want to say it's because they are 18-2 in their last 20, because they've got the MVP on their team, because Kyrie Irving is somehow the third best player on this team. Should never be a thing. I can't believe it. Can't believe we got this amount of riches. But they're scared, Keith, and people are worried. There was reasons to think that the Harden trade wouldn't work out. Oh, he's overweight. Oh, he has only one ball. He's never played with another big star. Keith, it doesn't matter. Now they're just scared. They've run out of excuses. So now they're saying it's unfair. The Nets are stacking the deck. All this to beat a 36-year-old. That 36-year-old needs to make the finals first. Nets are just playing to win. Steve Nash, scary hours.
The big, bad Brooklyn Nets. Even Steve Nash is laughing at everybody like, yo, we're just playing the game. Don't hate the player, hate the game. And I know y'all shook because Alize Johnson is back on another 10-day. Not bad for a running back, Lamar Jackson. He is coming back, and I want to see him on the court, honestly. I know people were saying we overreacted as Nets fans, one game, but that was the one guy out of all the 10 days that took advantage of his opportunity, balled, and he's coming back on another 10-day. And I want to hear Lamar Jackson jokes and Richard Jefferson calling the game that he's in, and maybe he can actually figure out how to run with this team and give us some more depth. So congrats to Alize
The Nets haven't
Johnson.
brought back anybody else. They haven't done this.
He's the only one
made that kind of an impact, whatever the situation may be. This is new. He earned his spot. Even if it's just a 10-day, he earned it. So let's see what he can keep doing. And I hope the Nets can blow out the Rockets, the most embarrassing franchise in the NBA right now. And that's saying that after we just played the Timberwolves. I hope we blow them out so much that we can play Alize the whole second half. I want to see him run up and down the court. And I want to see him play a little bit with Harden because he's got that bounce. He's got the bounce to work in the pick and roll.
Yeah, that's one of the first things I said. Get this guy on the court with Harden. If he played like this without Harden, we all know Harden, the MVP, enhances everyone's game around him. And speaking of Harden, the MVP, he said it. He spoke on it. And we got them shirts printed and ready to go. I am the MVP. And when did he say that? Friday night after the Detroit game. Let's talk about these games right now. Game 46 out of 72. Friday night in Detroit, the Nets beat the Pistons 113-111. I'm tired of playing the Pistons, but Blake Griffin, revenge game, goes back to Little Caesars Arena. Everybody was looking to see what he was going to do. and he did what he had to do. But, we'll talk about Blake some more when we get to our narrative section. From that game, I like that. Like I said, Blake came back there and did what he had to do. And I think that was a game we started to see progress from him as far as like doing his thing out there, being Blake, getting more minutes, not being too worried about, anything else besides playing his game and fitting in. It was a close game. We've played these guys close. It wasn't a pretty game, but the Nets figured out a way to win. And I don't know how people are figuring out a way to say James Harden isn't the MVP. Like, dude had how many points did he have in that game?
44 points. 14 rebounds, 8 assists on just under 50% shooting.
Like, come on.
That spells MVP to me.
There's nobody else in the league doing this. Hudson, what else you got from the Pistons game last Friday?
I mean, first off, talking about James Harden as the MVP. The MVP at this point has been the best player on the best team in the regular season. James Harden is the best player on the Brooklyn Nets, the best team in the NBA. So that should really settle all of that. He's doing things that nobody else is doing. People aren't giving him their respect. He wants to give it to Jokic for reasons I could not explain to you. LeBron's hurt now, so no LeBron in that discussion. I don't know. There's really no discussion. So moving past that, look, we always seem to get into tussles with the Pistons. I don't know if it's because they got some big bodies. They got a chip on their shoulder. They got Isaiah Stewart. He's 19. He's not built like he's 19. I don't know if you saw that.
I saw. They think they're tough. I guess
Isaiah Stewart, regardless of what he did, I think maybe getting ejected was a bit harsh for that whole situation with Blake with the flying elbow. But that dude's big. They got some big dudes, and they give the Nets problems. They play hard. Dwayne Casey's got his team buzzing as well as they can be, considering, they don't really have a lot of the talent.
Those dudes are big for nothing, bro. They're getting tossed out of the game. They're trying to be the bad boys. Like, when I see guys playing that style of basketball, I'm like, you're not good at basketball. Like, you should have been a football player. Like, if you're going to be rough like that and, like, throwing elbows or fouling guys or hacking guys, it's because you lack skill. Basketball is a finesse game. It takes finesse, smoothness. It isn't a rough game. I mean, it can be, and it was in the past, but I don't want to talk too more about the Pistons game just because I feel like last Friday, now it was like 5 days ago. It's in the past. It's in the past. Isaiah Stewart got ejected. DeAndre
Blake
Jordan
Griffin
got
threw down that lob. That was fun.
I like that. I like that lob a lot. It was a different looking dunk than the first dunk he had, and just showing people.
It wasn't like it wasn't the straight up Harden pick and roll lob either. It was him coming from the corner.
Right. He was coming from the side, banged it. I mean, DJ was getting fired up, banged some too. Whatever. I'm tired of playing the Pistons.
I'm so done with the Pistons. Oh my God. I'm done.
I think we might be done.
Thanks for giving us Bruce Brown.
All right. Next game. This is now game 47 out of 72. Man, we're moving. What do we only got like 25 games left, something like that. Monday night in Brooklyn, back home for a 3-game homestand. Your Brooklyn Nets beat the T-Wolves, the Timberwolves, Karl Anthony Towns, Anthony Edwards, those guys, Ricky Rubio, 112-107. We've been playing these like close games with these trash teams that like shouldn't be close, but they are, and like they weren't really that close, but the final score looks like it was. I enjoyed that game last night. I actually am just like, I don't know, getting ready for opening day and figuring out these PCR tests and doing that. And I had a PCR test scheduled for last night. The only time I could get it was 9:00. And I told Hudson, I'm not going to be online, but I was like, forget it, man. Like, this is important. The Nets are back at home. Kyrie Irving returns from his leave, comes out, and that's what really changed my mind. I thought the way the game started, Kyrie came out like 6 or 7 with like a quick 15. I'm like, oh, he's going for 40. We've seen this against the Timberwolves. We know what he's going to do. He's going to silence his critics. Oh, my God, might be one of those nights. I think I tweeted at Talking Nets, basically tweeting at Hudson, might be one of those nights, like with highlight reel plays from Kyrie, because this is his stage, right? He hears all you critics. He sees that stupid shit you say on Twitter, Instagram, judging this man for living his life. And his way of responding is by giving you buckets and giving them to you in a fashion that you don't see every night. Kyrie is art in motion. But that game turned in the second half because James Harden said, "Give me my minutes. I want to leave no doubt. Give me all the minutes, and I'm going to stuff the stat sheet because I am the MVP." Shop.com or shop.johnboymedia.com. Search I am the MVP. Talking Nets. Those shirts will come up. Hudson, I got your shirt. It's coming in the mail. I just got the shipping confirmation. I'll have it this week. If I don't see you this week, I'll see you at the live show, which is Saturday, April 10th, Tailgate, Brooklyn. The warm weather is upon us. I'm hoping we get a good Saturday night to watch the Nets and Lakers at Tailgate, Brooklyn, coming up soon. See how I just weave those ads in? Like
seamless ad read.
Talking Nets.
Not even a read. He built it in.
We're not gonna have these ads that you just are like, man, is this even my podcast? No, I'm gonna kick you the ads. We're gonna promote ourselves. All right, back to the game. Hudson, what were your thoughts last night as you were clipping up the Nets versus T-Wolves?
Well, I thought the same thing. I thought Kyrie was going to drop another 50 piece. I was in attendance for the Kyrie 50 piece in his Brooklyn Nets debut with that circus shot that almost went in. Could have been the greatest buzzer beater of all time. Didn't end up being. It was still ridiculous. I think that video has a million plus views. It was our first big tweet from the Talking Nets account. That was lit. Loved that game. Shout out to Talking Nets a year ago. A little bit of a different experience from now, but Kyrie, he opened up hot. He opened like he was searching for another 50 piece, and he kind of cooled off, but he was still respectable, and respectable for Kyrie Irving is elite. He put up 27 points, 7 rebounds on 50% shooting. That's an elite level of efficiency. Kyrie balled out, and it's crazy that can be so overshadowed by greatness. And that's what James Harden is. At this point, it's greatness. And look, we don't agree with the man, Charles Barkley, and we're going to be talking about Charles Barkley a little bit later in this podcast for what his interview might have caused with one Kevin Durant. But Charles Barkley said right now, James Harden's the best player in the world. And why would you disagree with him? Another triple-double, number 12, 38 points, 13 assists, 11 rebounds, closed the game out, 40 minutes. He's a workhorse. He's a dog. He's an animal. What else can you say? There's not enough adjectives to describe it. It's just masterful basketball. People might want to talk about, oh, maybe we should have put DJ in to close the game. Should have gone bigger. Shouldn't have gone small. Look, he said this isn't an X's and O's podcast. I'm sure that if we both wanted to, we could sit down and put on our Matt Brooks hat and in-depth analyze the game. But look, we're just talking about the vibes. We're talking about what we saw. We're talking about the fans' perspective. And the fans' perspective was just watching the game being played. And it was a good, fun game to see the Nets go out there, not necessarily be able to close the team out, but we watched some mastery from James Harden. We watched some mastery from Kyrie Irving. And we saw our side pieces, as I call them, our second stringers, our Bruce Browns show up. We saw Joe Harris have a little bit of an off game, still play all right. Jeff Green shoot over 50% from the field, 2 of 2 from 3. And the Nets just won the game. I don't want to spend too much time on it. They beat a bad team. Let's beat another one tonight.
Yeah, I don't got too much from that game. I thought it was cool that Bruce Brown is giving us some assists. I thought he had a great pass to find Harden. Harden hit a 3 at the top of the key, and it was just like, bro, Bruce Brown is only getting better. He's figuring out his spots. He's figuring out how to play. He had 10. DeAndre Jordan had 10. Jeff Green had 10. And they got it done. And, yeah, I did want to speak on what Hudson mentioned. Like, you know, too many people try to be analysts, try to be X's and O's guy. And people laugh at you. Like literally KD and some of these players laugh at these writers or these podcasters or these people that try to talk the X's and O's of basketball, from the defenses they're seeing to the rotations, the switching on defense, playing man and man. Like you don't really know what's going on out there unless you played at a high level. I'm not an analyst. I'm a fanalist. AKA, I'm just a fan of this. Damn, I got bars today. Let's move on. I want to play a game. Hudson does not know what I'm about to hit him with. This is a narratives segment. Never done it before, but with all of the narratives flying around, I'm like, I'm going to put together some narratives, which is really just dumb shit I see on the internet with people talking Nets, and we're going to use it on Talking Nets, and I'm going to kick it to Hudson, and Hudson's not going to know about it, and then I can get his honest off the cuff opinion on these things, and you can be in on the conversation, because when people have conversations about basketball, about teams, they don't know what the next person is going to ask them or whatever. So this will be like this. You guys don't say anything. I'm only going to talk to Hudson, but you get to listen. First narrative. What was Sean Marks supposed to do, right? Bobby Marks comes out and gives some perspective. He writes, what did you expect Sean Marks to do? Hang up the phone and say, we don't want you? Why don't you sign with Miami, Milwaukee, or Philadelphia? We have enough depth. What did y'all expect? This is chess, not checkers. This is the NBA. If we have, I knew after the deadline, right? We didn't do anything at the deadline. And people were like, oh, we still have open roster spots. And I'm like, yeah, sit tight. What did y'all expect Sean Marks to do? Hudson, were you surprised that the best GM in basketball took an opportunity to get better?
No, obviously. And that kind of feeds into another narrative. And I don't want to cut you off because, like he said, I have no idea what the hell he's going to say next. But like, there's this narrative out there that the Nets are ruining the competition. It's bad for bad. Who cares? Sean Marks' job is not to make sure that basketball is in tip-top shape. Sean Marks' job is really to recoup Joe Tsai's investment that he's putting into this team. And the what he wants back is a championship. And the Nets don't care if they have a better team than everybody. We toiled away at the goddamn rack in the 80s at the Rutgers Athletic Center. This is an NBA team that has not tasted success in so long. Don't get on me for ruining basketball when the Nets finally have a chance to be a juggernaut. Of course, he's going to do everything he can to make his team better, because why wouldn't he?
I mean, you segued us perfectly into where I'm going next. So
that's those podcasting instincts.
No
idea where he's going.
So what's next? I mean, we gonna get the ball boy next. We gonna get Andre Drummond next. I mean, we gonna get. I mean, I know you can't get Lonzo Ball or Kyle Lowry or whatever, but damn, what's gonna be next if you're the Brooklyn Nets? I mean, this is almost like buying a championship, for crying out loud. Blake Griffin comes. LaMarcus Aldridge has now decided to go. We don't even know if they're gonna go after Andre Drummond next. I mean, you want a championship? I got all of that. You should be the favorites. KD, James Harden.
All right, enough. Knicks
enough
fan.
of that guy. Don't even
sound
listen
like
to
a
him
Knicks
anymore.
fan.
Oh my
sound
God.
like a shook-ass Knicks fan. And I hate that I'm even saying the Knicks on this podcast, but that's what I get from Stephen A. He's just shook. Like, he's already imagining the Nets world that we're living in when we bring a parade back to New York. And, like, what do you think about Stephen A. saying we're buying a ring? It's like buying a championship.
I mean, look, I get it. Be shook. Be scared. There's no more excuses left. There's no more narratives left. You can't say Kyrie should retire. You can't say KD only is a snake and he only wins with James Harden can't win in the play. Look, the Nets are going to win basketball games because they're putting together a good team. And I don't think he even believes what he's saying, because it seems like he contradicted himself at the top. He said, look, I know you want to win a championship. Yeah. Right.
Everyone should be trying to win the championship.
Right. That's what I don't get. And that's something, obviously this is a basketball pod, but there are so many times in sports when teams are like, selling because they think, oh, my championship window's closed. Let's build it, blow it up, rebuild it, like the Houston Rockets did by not getting Jared Allen and Karis LeVert. You should always be going for a championship. You should always be building to be the best. And that's what the Nets are going to do. Sean Marks is not going to hang up the phone when LaMarcus Aldridge says, I choose you, especially when, as we saw today, KD wanted him there. And if you're going to give the GM credit for building a good Lakers team, you should damn well give this same credit to KD.
Yeah, you're getting you. I know you're on the internet, so you already know what type of narratives I'm gonna pull next. So let's talk about Blake, because he started off with Blake Griffin coming over there. Blake Griffin coming over here did not make us all of a sudden the favorites. Blake came out and said, it's kind of funny to me because for the last couple years, all I've heard is how bad I am. You sign with this team and everybody's like, that's not fair. And there was a video going around after the Pistons game because Blake Griffin dunked the lob, and then I think he stared down the Pistons bench, and someone captioned the video saying, "Oh, it's getting ugly out here," or "It's a cold game out here. Blake Griffin staring down the team that he quit on now that he's on a super team," something along those lines. And I'm like, these are just narratives. These are people spinning what they're seeing for the casuals, for the people who aren't fans at all, to just be like, wow, and to paint the Nets as this like villain. But like, yeah, what happened to that? I thought Blake Griffin was washed. I thought he was done. I thought he sucked. So if he sucks, why is it all of a sudden that he makes the Nets better? Hudson, you got to explain
freaking
it.
out about the Nets signing Alizé Johnson. Nobody freaked out about the Nets signing Iman
It's the
Shumpert.
name game. It's the name
It's the
game.
name game, and that's really what it is.
We should sign Isaiah Thomas.
Exactly. We should sign both Isaiah Thomases. We love taking players from the Pistons. Let's get the old ass Isaiah Thomas up.
No,
on
let's
team.
get Joe Johnson though, for real. ISO Joe. Bring ISO Joe back. Katie, you got to give up that 7 if we sign Joe. Continuing the narratives, our own company, John Boy Media. Saturday night, I'm chilling. I don't even know what I was doing Saturday night. And I see at 9:25, John Boy Media tweets out, same thing, ? At Talking Nets. And in this graphic that was created by, I know exactly who created it, it showed Kobe, Karl Malone, Shaq, and Gary Payton at the top. And then on the bottom, it had Kyrie, Blake Griffin, LaMarcus Aldridge, KD, James Harden. And you're going to ask if that's the same thing to Talking Nets, which is me and Hudson, or me and Hudson, or whoever is the first one to respond. And I was the first one to respond because I'm like, get out of here with that. I see what you're trying to do. I appreciate the shout out because John Boy Media is huge. The Instagram's got like 160,000 followers. The Twitter's got over 30,000 followers. That is our brand. But at the same time, I'm like, this is a backhanded compliment. Like, and then they try to spin it to say, oh, this is a Shaq and Kobe team. You guys should be honored to be compared to a Shaq and Kobe team. A Shaq and Kobe team that didn't get it done. A Shaq and Kobe team where Shaq and Kobe were kind of getting tired of each other. A Shaq and Kobe team that lost to the Pistons in 2003, 2004. Karl Malone was 40. Gary Payton was 35. This ain't that. And I guess if you want to put LaMarcus Aldridge in the Karl Malone position because they're old. I guess if you want to put Blake Griffin in the gloves position, Gary Payton, because he's older. But no, that's not it. These guys are coming off the bench. They're depth pieces. And the most important thing out of all the replies, and I went back and forth with some people, and I mixed it up with people because I'm a social media guy. I understand that, controversy, conversation, disagreement breeds engagement. You get random people to just jump out of nowhere with their thoughts. Like someone was trying to say, oh, this would be Lakers in 4. I was like, no way, it'd be Nets in 4. But what do you think about that? Like comparing this team to that Lakers team that came up short in 2003, 2004.
And look, I can say this with complete confidence because I also know who sent this tweet out. Casual.
Right. Oh, and
Baseball
I didn't say the main difference between that team and this team. Shaq and Kobe were also a little older. We have a big 3 in their prime like this league has never seen. KD, Kyrie, Harden are all around 29, 30, 31, 32 years old. And when they're fully healthy together in the playoffs, we're going to see. You won't be able to compare this team to anyone else. Go ahead, Hudson. Tell me, in 2003, 2004, I know you didn't watch this team. So I know you can't really have. That's why I jumped out quickly. I'm like, I'm responding to this. I'm like, quit hating. Nets in 4. Like, I see everybody is just shook of the Nets finally winning a championship. And as a Nets fan, a long-suffering Nets fan, I just need y'all to quit hating. Let us get ours. Let us get our chip, yo. Let us get our 1 chip.
Let us be the villain.
3.
Let us be the villain.
Dynasty.
The Nets are doing it with all the players that are the most hated. They're doing it with Kyrie. Oh, he's weird. He thinks the earth is flat. He doesn't show up for games. Basketball is only a hobby to him. We're doing it with the Snake, Kevin Durant only needs a super team to win. Couldn't do it in OKC. Had to go and play with Golden State, a team that had already won 72 games. Oh my God. And then they got James Harden. He's selfish. He takes too many shots. He never can make it work with the other players he plays with. He'll never win in the playoff. Let us be the villains then. Like Steve Nash said, we're the villains. And I like it. I like that energy. We're from Brooklyn. We're not from, the flashy lights of Midtown, of, Penn Station, which is really the worst area of New York City, honestly, if I had to talk about which area the arenas are in, but that's a whole different conversation.
Between there and Times Square, I never want to go. I never want to go to Midtown between like 28th and like 48th. I don't want to be over there. It's all
it's no
tourists.
Good. I gotta go
to
Penn Station. I gotta go to Penn Station to take the train home, which is actually where I was for part of that Pistons game. And boy, it's gross.
It's gross. I don't want to get into that. But where was this energy when LeBron pulled off the heist to get AD? Where was this? People were applauding that. And
the GM.
Yeah. And I know that the Pelicans didn't really want that to go down, similar to how the Rockets didn't really want the Harden trade to go down. But where was this energy when we saw AD get traded from New Orleans to the Lakers and we all knew, okay, they're about to win the chip? Like, all they needed some role players. It's LeBron and AD. Where was this energy when LeBron, I just hate the LeBron. There's so many LeBron stands, and it's always got to be LeBron versus Kobe, LeBron versus Jordan. Now it's LeBron versus KD, or LeBron versus Harden in the Nets. And it's not a guarantee that the Lakers make it to the finals, just like it's not a guarantee the Nets make it to the finals. There's a lot of basketball to be played. And as we currently are watching the NBA and seeing the NBA, AD is hurt. LeBron is hurt. The Lakers are losing games.
Dennis Schroeder didn't want to re-up his contract. Look.
It's not.
I'm more worried about the Sixers. I'm more worried about the Utah Jazz.
I'm more worried about the Sixers and more worried about just getting out of the East and getting to the finals. But all right, last couple narratives. Here's one. No player has won the MVP award after getting traded in the same season. So I see a comment on our Instagram. We're promoting the I Am the MVP shirts. And Hayden.Meeson, I don't know. Micun. It doesn't matter. Shout out to you, Hayden, because I said, I'm using this on the podcast. Thank you. Hayden writes, you can't be the MVP of if you're on a team with 5 superstars. Sorry. Hudson, you gotta you can you do the math? Can you explain this?
Not a math pod. We'll steal that from one of the other podcasts on this network. But what? 5 superstars. I mean, look, give Joe Harris that credit. Give Nick Claxton that credit, I guess. But look, first off, it doesn't matter, right? It really simply just does not matter who is on this team. If you are the best player on the best team, you are the MVP. And honestly, the way I see it, it should be more difficult. If Kyrie and KD are playing all the time and they're taking the ball away and they're putting up their numbers, shouldn't that be taking away from James Harden's numbers? Shouldn't that make him look like less of a desirable MVP candidate because he's just simply not putting up the numbers? He's not as relied upon? No. This team falls apart without James Harden. He is literally the most valuable player in the league. And it was clear. And he is the person single-handedly that put the Nets over the top. I honestly, and I love KD, but obviously he's been hurt, and I love Kyrie to death. If we didn't have James Harden, this Nets team certainly would not be a half game out of the East and certainly wouldn't be being talked about like, we're the big bad wolf ready to blow everyone's house down.
A few episodes back, I had said, this is Harden's team. I had said, this is turning into Harden's team. I think when KD was out with COVID, then he got hurt. And I said, this is Harden's team. We all went into the season thinking this is KD's team. This is KD's year. And KD was going to be the MVP. No, this is Harden's team. And Harden has already won an MVP. Harden won that MVP on a Rockets team where he was the main guy and there weren't 5 superstars. The math is still not computing to me why someone thinks the Nets have 5 superstars. But what I'm getting at is that I think that's all nonsense. And you can come up with all these narratives to try and spin it, but who else are you going to hand this trophy to? Now, last year, I thought LeBron deserved it over Giannis. There was a couple years that I thought, like Giannis won. Didn't Giannis just win back-to-back MVPs? And I guess that's because he's the one guy on the Bucks that's an all-star. He's the force on their team. But the world has changed. 2020 changed a lot of things. Anything can happen. Anything is possible. Top players want to come play in Brooklyn now for the Nets.
Giannis got dunked on by Justin Anderson. Things happen.
Giannis got dunked on by Justin Anderson. It's a different world we're living in. It's a Nets world. And I think everyone knows that James Harden is the MVP, and he's not giving you a chance to say he's not because he ain't taking nights off. He's not load managing. He's playing 40 minutes, and he's stuffing the stat sheet. So I can't wait till KD comes back because there's another narrative that, well, once KD comes back, he's going to have to share the ball with KD, and we're going to see how dominant KD is, and people are going to remember again, like KD is the best basketball player in the world next to LeBron James, depends who you ask. But I don't believe that. I think KD knows his boy James well. I think KD's going to come in and fit in, and not just fit in, enhance this team, but I don't expect it to take anything away from Harden, and they're going to do what they got to do to win. And here's the second to last narrative before we get into the closing topic. I saw someone say that if KD wins a ring this year, if KD gets it done this year, if this works this year, this will be the corniest ring ever. 10 times cornier than winning it with the Dubs. Like, this is like, we thought the snake, we thought the cupcake thing, like they're going to have to come up with a new emoji for KD because he can't do anything on his own. And I started seeing the tweets. I think I threw on our Instagram, like, this is the team they want KD to win with. And KD came out and responded. And he said, I truly can't do anything alone in this world. Anything I really want to do, truly want to do, I can't do alone. And that's right. Nothing great is accomplished alone. You need people around you, solid people around you. That's why he's recruiting a LaMarcus Aldridge. That's why he's telling Blake Griffin, yeah, come this way. That's why he's talking to James Harden, and Harden is on his team. There's no such thing as a corny ring, right?
A ring is a ring.
Some people could say that the Disney World bubble is a corny ring. I think that's a great ring. I think over time, people are going to look at 2020 and what it took for those guys to win that ring. But you got guys like Skip Bayless calling it a bubble ring, the bubble gum ring. There is no such thing as a corny ring. This is the NBA. These guys are playing hard. You think it's going to be a
corny parade down Atlantic Avenue, Keith?
It's going to be super lit. I'm actually planning that. So if you would like to attend the Brooklyn Nets parade, all you have to do is buy some Talking Nets merch, come to the Talking Nets live show, meet Hudson, meet myself. And when we're on the float, we will wave from the Talking Nets float and say, hey, how's it going, Nets fans? We did it. We are the champions, my friends. All right, back to the last closing thing I wanted to talk about with Hudson. Hudson sent this to me right before we went on, and we got to talk about it. Talking about KD and, his corny ring, talking about KD responding to people saying, oh, you can't do anything on your own. I guess they want KD to, just win with no help, which is impossible.
They just want KD to respond to them on Twitter, honestly.
Yeah,
and that's something
I got in the car the other day, and the radio was talking about, like, why is KD always in this negative energy? Why is he always responding to fans? I don't think that's negative energy. I think that's great. KD isn't playing. He's chilling on his phone at home, rehabbing, resting. He's got time. And you know what? Instead of acting like he's above everyone, instead of acting like he can't read tweets and can't use his thumbs and reply, he actually gives these people a moment, a real response from his account. And I like that about KD. Now, what we're going to talk about is one Michael Rappaport, who I can't stand. He just does too much. And his time has passed. Like, he had a couple roles in movies. He used to do stand-up comedy. He's a guy that's supposed to be like the accepted white guy in the black community. I don't think that's definitely not coming from me, but he's got, his wife is black and he goes to basketball games. He's in the hip hop community. And this guy decides to tweet out his exchange, a private exchange, a DM on Instagram, right? So he takes a private conversation from Instagram, screenshots it, and brings it to Twitter, which we all know Instagram and Twitter are built differently. The discovery on Twitter is much better. Everyone can find your tweet. Hudson found the tweet, sent it to me. I don't even want to read it. I want you to go read it, Talking Nets fam, and tell me what you think. Tweet at us what you think. We'll tell you what we think. I have no problem with this because, like I said, it was a private message. KD was defending himself. And I know as a man, when I'm defending myself and I'm talking to somebody online, I don't care who it is. If we're going back and forth, I'm going to say whatever I got to say to you, especially if I'm trying to disrespect you or especially if I'm trying to get a point across. So I got no real problem with what KD said privately to Michael Rappaport, who he doesn't like, he's not friends with, doesn't care for. What I really have a problem with is Michael Rappaport being 55 years old and just looking for this attention. You didn't have to do this. You don't have to tweet this out. You don't have to go through this lengths. And isn't he like in some type of beef with Dave Portnoy from Barstool? Like, I don't even know about this clown, bro. I just think people are trying to say like, oh, KD was being misogynistic, racist, homophobic. No, he was getting at Michael Rappaport in the best way that he felt like he could get at Michael Rappaport. He wasn't saying that generally. He wasn't saying that to a stranger. He wasn't saying that from his own Twitter. He was saying that in a private message to a sucker who Michael Rappaport is and is just using this now for clout. Hudson, your thoughts?
He's a clout chaser. He's a culture vulture. I don't want to give him the light of day. He doesn't need us to give him the light of day, obviously, but it's just ridiculous. And my favorite part of all of this is that KD went out and he said, look, meet me on West 17th. What's your address? Catch me at 10 a.m. KD's not messing around. Like, look, at a certain point, there's this line with anonymity online, right? Keith, you and I have talked about this a million times on the podcast. People will say anything behind a photo of the Knicks logo, of LeBron's face, of whoever. And they'll say it because they know there's no consequences. And for Michael Rappaport, he got caught up in that life. He's going out there saying things, and he feels like there's going to be no consequences. And look, my mom always taught me never to resort to physical violence. But look, if someone's going to trash you online, don't just exchange words. Don't just exchange words. I think that if you want to be, to show who you really are, you got to be like, look, I'm willing to put myself on the line. I am willing to stand up for myself. And that's what KD was willing to do. You can't throw stones and expect none of them to get thrown back at you. And I also think it's corny because Michael Rappaport released those. And I think our guy, Eddie Gonzalez-Bansky, actually put this out to promo his podcast, to promo
Corny.
a podcast episode.
Wow,
and we
corny.
do podcast promo. That's corny. That's corny. That's just the wrong energy. That's weird. You're a clout chaser. You're a culture vulture. Get out of here.
He's just lame, bro. He's over 50. He's never really had his own successful thing. He's jumped on coattails. He's clout chased. And KD is about that life. He told him, here's the address. Drop the addy. Send the location. Pull up. It's like that on site if I see you. And that's enough talking about Michael Rappaport, but we had to address it. It just happened. And this is Talking Nets. We talk Nets and about the Nets players and what's going around with the Nets. So, speaking of Talking Nets, I appreciate these reviews that are coming in for Talking Nets. I had to change the title of the podcast to Talking Nets, Brooklyn Nets podcast, so that people search Brooklyn Nets, it comes up. We have a 5-star review from Cash Money Baller, came in Friday, and he writes, or she, finally, the Nets podcast I've been looking for. No doubt the best Nets podcast around. Love that you can feel that they're true Nets fans and been with the team since day one. Well, Hudson day one in Brooklyn. Me, like maybe day like 100 and 101,000 in New Jersey. Either way, he says the engagement with their listeners brings it to the next level. Keep it up, guys. Nets World. Hey, I appreciate that. Cash Money Baller, Cash Money Records taking over for the 99 and the 2000. Please write reviews. Please rate 5 stars and tell the world what you think about what Hudson and I are doing here. I like that he mentioned the engagement with the listeners. From the jump, I have been pushing the voicemail. In the beginning, people weren't calling the voicemail, but from the beginning, I was saying, we want to hear from you guys. I don't want to just talk to Hudson every day or every other day for an hour about the Nets. We want some of you guys to call in, and you have, and I think that's added a cool dynamic to the show, and we're going to keep it running. And we want to meet some of you guys live. We want to do some live streams. We're working on changing some of the dynamics of the show now that we're getting into baseball. And I'll be covering the Yankees and the Nets, doing multiple podcasts on the Yankees, multiple podcasts on the Nets. We're going into the playoffs and all that. So stick with us. Talking Nets is only going to grow and evolve and get better. And we want to hear what you guys want to hear. We want to hear what you guys think about the show, what you'd like to, see us do. It's all coming. It's all on the way. We're at episode 91. Maybe we'll do something cool for 100. Hudson, what are your thoughts?
Look, episode 100's coming soon. I think the Nets might have even clinched a playoff spot by the time we hit episode 100. That might even be the day. What? That's 18 games? Going to be around there? Look, that would give the Nets a couple of games left in the season, 7-8 games. You can clinch a playoff spot by then, especially with the way the East looks this year. Boy, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to us growing. I'm looking forward to us changes. I'm looking forward to us growing on the Twitter, growing on the Instagram. But give the YouTube a subscription. I know there's people watching me on the YouTube, and I think that's weird because then I got to focus how I look. I can't come in looking like shit every time because people actually watch me on the YouTube. Every time I see those views creep up, I'm like, Jesus Christ, I got to get back in the goddamn gym. But look, just keep the energy coming. Keep it rolling. I love it. Keith loves it. We're always going to be here for you covering the Nets, talking about the Nets, being the voice of the fans.
Bro, the YouTube's not for you. The YouTube's for the people to see me. Duh.
Right. No, I got it, Keith. I got it. I remember we were doing live streams back early last March. And people were just chilling in the comments talking about wanting to see Keith take his shirt off.
Yo, that was when John Boy went to spring training and we had the office to ourselves, and I was trying to get Talking Nets off the ground, and we were going live in the audience. We were going live in the office, and we had a live audience in the chat. I'm trying to get us back to something like that. Now the John Boy media office is full with people every day. We've hired some new people for this season. Hudson and I will figure this out remotely, but that's funny. I do remember that chick that was she was feeling the kid a little bit, but I'm getting married this summer. All right. Leave a voicemail, 201-870-0461. Call in, be heard, leave your name. Keep it under a minute. Make sure you follow us at Talking Nets. You can follow me at Keith McPherson. Hudson Flynn, where can they follow you?
Follow me at Hudson Flynn. All real games. No fake accounts.
Yeah, no, we're just going by our government names and doing what we do as fans and being who we actually are. Pretty simple. Hey, subscribe, rate, and review. I'm going to say it again. We're trying to get some cool guests. The ratings and reviews help us rise. Once again, we'll see you at Tailgate Brooklyn. It's close now. You're going to be hearing this on Wednesday morning. You can reserve a table for next Saturday. Resi.com, search Tailgate Brooklyn, Saturday, 4:10. Book a table at 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock. Nah, book it at 7 because once the game is on, we're not going to be podcasting. Book a table at 7. I already have a few people that hit me up yo, I'm coming to this one. I'm pulling up to this one. Y'all see y'all out there.
Warm, good food, good drinks, or so I've been told. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I can't wait. It's going to be round 2 for us, but it's going to be round 2, and we're going to actually we're going to crush this. And one thing I really do want is for everyone that comes out to wear either a Nets jersey or Talking Nets merch. And then when the podcast is over, we're going to take a gangster ass group picture of everybody just throwing it up hey, Nets World, hey, Marks we trust. And you know what I'm going to get everybody to say? Let's go Nets. Brooklyn.
We go hard, go